I mean, end of the day, you're not at fault for not knowing what you don't know. Or, at least on the human level, because on the spiritual level, every day we struggle with having to fall subject to the things we didn't know. Exhibit A, everything you're going through. Once you asked me for the reality check, I gave it to you, and now we're here. Which is to say, you did know, now you can work on it. Because I'd say, and before I even say what I'm going to say, I want to preface that, like, we have what, a 4 year age gap. So what you're discovering at 24 is kind of what I discovered too at 23, 24. I'll admit, a lot of things that I've discovered and been through and learned in my life, I mean, shit, there are 50-year-olds that don't even have a clue. You know what I'm saying? So that is to say, yeah, I'm so grateful you're coming to this understanding and lesson now, as opposed to being 30, 40 some odd years old, having, toxic relationships and entities in your life, or being the one to produce these things unintentionally by not knowing certain habits, etc. So, yeah, when I was like 23, I think it was back in like 2020, 2021, I did something that I call a relationship audit. And essentially, with my relationship audit, it was, I like imagined in my head that I'm a CEO and everybody was working in a cubicle. And essentially, it was like, no matter who you were, family, friends, etc. I was imagining, like, are you, if my personhood is a company, right? I audited in the sense of, well, who is actually adding to the company? Who is just using up resources? Who is doing a kind of sort of job, but like I could definitely, let them go and get somebody to fulfill the job better. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when I did my first relationship audit in 2021, I mean, I'm telling you, I cut off 10-year plus friendships. I backed away from, family members. Like, there were friends I started speaking to more because I recognized, wow, this is a quote unquote good employee. And then there are other employees that really, it's what were the ones that introduced me to this idea of like reflections and mirrors, right? Because there are people that I was like, hold on, I don't even know why you're at this job. Like, I don't know why I employed you to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, there are people in my life that I didn't even understand why they're in my life. And by extension, I didn't understand why I was in theirs. Or, those moments where you start clocking reciprocity. Like, okay, am I working more for this person's company than they're working for mine, and vice versa? And again, also understanding people's roles. Not everybody is meant to, nor can they do the same job. So, like, making sure that the people in certain roles are meant to be there, demoting people as they need to be demoted, promoting people where they need to be promoted. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the way in which you symbolize it in your head is up to you, but essentially, like I said, what I call relationship audits, they're so freaking necessary because you will quickly discover who is not a functional branch within your living tree, so to speak. And the more you prune that tree and really just scale back the business, so to speak, or not even scale it back, there will probably most likely be some scaling back, but sometimes, yeah, it's just more so peeling back to look at everything and deciding what needs to expand, what needs to go, what needs to grow. Yeah. And the more you do that, like, I think this is something that will probably everyone has to do for their entire lives. But that is to say, the sooner you learn how to do it, I think it's easier to bypass what you do and don't like. And the same way people do like romantic partner lists, I would recommend doing even like that same list for friends. And like, again, just like the experiences and types of things and stuff that you want to attract in your life, really hunkering down, again, seeing who's already doing those things, seeing who could be doing those things, being self accountable in the way that you cannot control what someone does. So, like, peeping who's trying to do what and seeing, making the moves, the choices as an executive, as the executor of your life to decide where people get positioned. And of course, again, filing for new applicants, so to speak, as needed.